Hello, world, and welcome to Creating Light with Kelsey. Guys, I have a microphone. I got a new microphone. Look at us. I don't know why this is an unnecessarily long journey of of going through multiple microphones and finding a one that was a nice fit. Um, but here we are. We got there eventually, and that is the important part. So hopefully we are back on track with the better sound quality, a more pleasurable audio experience for you listeners. And what the fuck is time? I can't believe it's only just been a week, which is normal. We're here every week on the podcast, but I have straight up been in the vortex, my friends. In 1 week's time, there has been so much that has fucking happened in my life. I am catapulting, and creating light is unapologetically taking up all the space. Like, I am very much understanding that creating light is its own entity, and I am the vessel for all the healing work and teaching and guidance that is meant to be channeled through me, because this mission is bigger than me. Like, creating light, helping to create light within the collective consciousness. And how do we do that? By facing and transmuting our darkness. Like, that's fucking massive. And it will reach out to so many different people in different ways and different tiers of who is ready to face themselves in certain ways and transmute in certain ways. And because we're all in different areas, levels of the game, of the journey. And creating light is here to guide the way in whatever way it can. And so let's fucking go. So today's episode, the continuation of telling my healing story versus my trauma story. And that is what this perspective shift in how I'm delivering this lived experience is what has really shifted the energy within my business and how I'm showing up. Like, it's ineffable. And I'm so grateful for that shift. But I believe where I left off was sharing with you all the first time that I had faced my darkness, which was back in 2017. And this one, we're going pretty much in chronological order as far as my experiencing afterwards, which really drives home the importance of understanding the difference between self-development and a healing journey, but also having self-development as a base and a foundation before fully diving in to the healing journey, because those two things are different for a reason, and they're both valid, that we both need them, because I went to fucking dive in without too much self-development integrative work, and I got fucking burned, man. So I made a lovely list of what I feel the differences of those two things are, and I will read them off and then talk about them in more depth. So self-development to me is building healthy habits, wanting to better yourself, desiring to become less emotionally reactive, setting boundaries, learning how to set boundaries, doing things that make you feel good. You're seeking more fulfilling connections, and you're learning coping skills. To me, that encompasses self-development. Then a healing journey, diving into that, is facing your darkness or trauma, shadows, however you want to word it, learning to take accountability for your internal world. So no longer blaming people for your feelings. So there's a difference of understanding, like, yeah, some fucked up shit happened that should not have happened. That's different. Regardless of any experiences we have had, we are still responsible and accountable for our own feelings. That's some next level shit. Next thing, regulating your nervous system, being devoted to that and taking full responsibility of that. Breaking or changing patterns. Presence. Can you be present without distractions? Learning that. Fully feeling your feelings, all of them. pleasant and unpleasant. We're not here just searching to feel good and to have a good life. We are here to be with what is and feel it all, accepting all parts of self. There are some things and habits and versions of me that I am not particularly fond of, but the healing journey is about accepting and unconditionally loving all of me. The art of detachment and becoming friends with grief. That's a fucking big one. Because when you out here on this healing journey, you're gonna quote unquote lose a lot, shift a lot, change a lot, not know what the fuck is going on. Things will be quote unquote taken or ripped away from you. And yeah, art of detachment and friends with grief. And then the last one, completely changing your reality. If you ain't doing that, you ain't on the healing journey, my friends. You're on something else. I don't know what the fuck it is, but you ain't on this. You ain't on the healing journey completely. Or yeah, you know what? I said what I said. So again, to me, take it with a grain of salt if you want, take what lands, but that is the difference between self-development and healing journeys. We still need these things though. We need both. It is all encompassing. But if you find yourself only dancing in the self-development realm because it's not too uncomfy over there, and then you wonder why you may experience disconnection still, this eerie knowing of a soul misalignment, something feeling off, not fully alive. It's probably because parts of self are asking you to dive deeper, asking you to dive into the healing journey, taking the next step. And for me, my self-development journey started in 2014. That was my first like little mini awakening of realizing I wanted to be a better person, which I feel like kind of is where most of us start. We have that intention of like, okay, I want to do better. I want to live a better life. Like, how do we get there? And then you start exploring like healthy habits and implementing routines and eating better, changing who you hang around with, or trying different activities with those people that you hang around with. And just all the coping skills. Go for a nice walk, meditate, journal, do things that help you feel better. We love that. We love to feel better. And then you kind of learn how to center yourself along the way in that sense. So I was walking that line. I was doing little mini challenges, having deeper conversations with my friends, working out, trying to be more intentional with eating, with what little that I knew with nutrition at the time. That is a different ball game now, my friends. But I definitely didn't have a morning routine. I didn't know how to regulate myself, my emotions, and I wasn't ever fully expressing my internal world. Like I was very much still in the realm of suppression. And then kind of the things that I was doing to make me feel better on this self-development journey were the coping skills in a way to not productively cope with unpleasant feelings. I was doing the things to just chase this feeling of getting better and feeling better, because anytime an unpleasant thing was here, I would do something to just feel better versus feeling the unpleasant feeling and releasing it. And so that's where I was getting caught up and not understanding the difference, but I didn't know how detrimental that was, and that I was existing within that in my entire life, because I wasn't shown any differently until my trauma came slamming to the surface and I got shoved by the universe and my psyche into the healing journey. And that is what can be dangerous, is if you willingly do that without a baseline first. If you did listen to those episodes, the first time that I faced my darkness I was in my first semester of grad school, and at residency, it all came slamming to the surface. And then realizing like, oh, I can't run from this anymore. Like it won't let me. And then I came back into my normal daily existence, but not having anything to manage it. And then I didn't have any healthy habits that were built and integrated that the self-development part offers. That was not there for me. And so then I went straight into numbing, and I was on my phone at any part that I could. I was working full time in grad school full time, and then going to the gym as much as I could. That was a different level of distraction and numbing. And then I drank and smoked a lot too. I made sure to create no room for feeling, because what was here was a lot. I mean, bless those suppression mechanisms, because at that time my body knew that I could not handle it, and so it was doing the things to try and regulate itself in maladaptive ways, but it didn't know any better. And at the time, it was getting the job done, but it only gets the job done for short periods of time before it blows up in your face again. So if you are dabbling into this realm of curiosity of the self and self-discovery, self-development, really start with the basics. Start with building healthy habits for yourself and keeping promises to yourself, because that's what I mean by your baseline. Then you'll have the necessary foundation in resilience to dive deeper, and you'll have something to fall back on, versus if you didn't have that at all, you would fall back on maladaptive coping mechanisms like I did. And I got lost for a little bit, so lost to the fact that I went back to the trauma that hurt me in the first place when I just pulled myself out of it. I got out of a very toxic, hurtful relationship. And then that's where I was like, oh my gosh, I have all this safety now. And the trauma had enough room to come forward to be faced and transmute. But I didn't have anything to hold myself there. And so I went completely numbing, distraction, maladaptive coping mechanisms, and then swung back to the trauma relationship in my own realm of delusion, thinking again that it was love and that this person was for me. And this is what happens when darkness unconsciously rules you. And that's why the healing journey is important, or you will not break those patterns. You will not completely change your reality. And it's so wild to reflect back on that time in 2017 and early 2018 was, well, fuck. No, I'd say it lasted that whole year of 2018 too, of just completely derailing my life after I faced my darkness. That's what I'm trying to be like. That's why I'm trying to communicate of like, don't fucking do that to yourself. You don't have to do it to yourself. You don't have to re-enter suffering to learn the lesson. And that's why it can be dangerous when people are out there talking about all this shadow work and luring people in to open them up without a means of checking that they have a base of emotional regulation and facing themselves, and that they can center themselves before diving into shadow work. Like that's a lot. One, this is why somatic activated healing is great, because we face our emotions, which in turn helps you face your darkness. So we face our emotions in a non-threatening way, because we're not in the mind and we're not engaging with the stories that would re-trigger and re-traumatize you by being in that place. We're just in the present moment and gently guiding you through a practice of regulating your nervous system, emptying out emotional baggage that's stuck within your body, and you don't even know or have to know what all is going on. And all the practices and you're experiencing are so different. Sometimes people do experience an emotional release and they cry and they feel better afterwards, and other times they may feel a little off, but then it integrates later and they feel okay. Or sometimes people don't really notice any shifts in the moment when they are in the middle of a practice, but yet they notice things slowly shifting in their daily life when they're consistent with it. Like that's actually a great way to build your baseline and to build healthy habits. And it is a pleasant mixture of the self-development journey and healing journey. It depends on how deep you want to go with it. But if you come to my donation-based virtual somatic activated healing classes, we're building that baseline. Now, if you want to step into my 8-month healing container, oof, We going in, we diving in, but there's a whole process to it. And it's 8 months. That means I'm holding you for a very long time, making sure everything is established in the way that it needs to be established before facing the darkness. Another point that I would really like to just briefly bring up, because it ties along nicely with this topic, is if you are a person that is wanting to go into the healing journey, but yet you haven't really dabbled in anything else beforehand, and you're wanting to immediately do EMDR therapy or plant medicine journeys, that is a recipe for disaster. In my opinion, in my professional opinion, therapist background, graduated with my master's in art therapy and practiced for like 5 years, very trauma informed and experienced, and I have seen people that do not have this baseline of the practices of the healthy habits and regulating their emotions and their nervous system, managing big feelings, knowing how to do that first on their own, that they don't know how to do that at all, and then they go to receive EMDR therapy or receive some miraculous life-changing healing from plant medicine. They do that and they get ripped the fuck open and they don't know how to close and integrate. And then now all of this information and all of their depths and their trauma memories are here, but they don't know how to integrate it and how to feel it and to metabolize it. And then they go back to numbing because their body cannot handle it. And so people will start using substances again. People will keep themselves busy and working extra jobs or binge watching TV or disordered eating again because they don't know what the fuck to do with this information that they just got blasted with in EMDR sessions and plant medicine journeys. Like, if you can't be with your darkness on your own first, do not do those things. There's this progression here. Not that those things are bad or innately hurtful, but they can be hurtful if you just jump to those things, if you're trying to run before you can walk. So that's why it is important to know the difference between self-development and healing journey. Be honest with where you're at and just be there and then work and progress. And if you pay attention to how you're existing in your daily life and how you're showing up, that will already be telling you what you can handle and what you have the capacity for. If most of your days are still filled with distraction and avoidance, that's your nervous system and your psyche telling you that you currently have minimal capacity to face yourself, which is okay. But start there of how can you lightly stretch yourself and dance with discomfort without completely derailing yourself. This is where guidance is helpful. Appropriate guidance. Again, for me, how I had shared that I completely derailed my life is that I was still somehow managing the homework and completing that and facing myself in that degree, because if you are in the program to become an art therapist, you're facing yourself to some degree. But I found myself in my days being filled with Netflix, snacking, and my evenings, I was having alcoholic beverages with my dinners. And it was almost to the point that I was like really looking forward to that moment. And I had convinced myself that I didn't have an unhealthy habit with alcohol. I just enjoyed the taste of it. And that's why I enjoyed the taste of it with my meal. But if it was to the point where I was looking forward to it and needing it, and it was the sense of helping me wind down, then that's something to get a little curious about. And then my weekends, like looking forward to my weekends to where I could go out and binge drink and just forget things, and quote unquote have fun in that way. Like, I was looking for any opportunity to be immersed in the party life. And none of that was healing. All of that was perpetuating wounds and continuously hurting myself. But it makes sense because I had to at that point. Like, I had to numb myself because I came back to that hurtful relationship. And it was so hurtful that if I was present to any degree, I don't know what the fuck would have happened. So, of course, I was watching Netflix all day. Of course, I was using alcohol in an unhealthy way. Of course. Like, it makes logical sense when you look back and reflect on it. And it was just to the point where it had to get bad enough again, as if the first time in the 2017 when I faced it and realized what the fuck was there that needed to be faced and held and transmuted, like it came up. And then for about a year, it showed me what life would look like and how I would exist as a human with this being at the forefront and me being choosing to be unconscious to it and letting it rule my life. Like, that's a miserable life to live. Being in a hurtful relationship, disordered eating, at the mercy of substances, and determining my levels of fun, joy, and connection. I can't remember if I already said it, but and glued to screens and to Netflix to have something to look forward to. I'm sorry, if that is my thing to look forward to, like the sole thing or the main thing, that's a fucking problem. Like, that's what life was showing me. That's what my darkness was showing me of, if you do not face this and you allow me to rule your life, this is how your life is going to look. This is how it's going to continue to look, and it's not going to change until you decide to dive into the healing journey, which leads to the next part of this healing story, which will be in a different episode. I don't know if it's going to be the direct next episode, but it will be an upcoming episode, which led to my very first spiritual awakening. And that's also kind of what helped me rebuild a foundation, a necessary thing to stand on so I could really tackle. That's so funny. Back then, I definitely thought it was tackling the darkness, but now I know it's we're dancing and embracing the darkness and learning how to work with it, because it's not our darkness is not innately bad, but once we learn to truly face it and therefore dance with it, it will teach us how to alchemize the traits and characteristics that lie within our darkness for our highest good, instead of it remaining completely unknown and unseen. Then it does self-sabotaging things to get us to pay attention to it. And it doesn't have to be like that anymore. It can be things that fuel us instead of things that destroy us. And that's the point of the healing journey, and learning to be with all parts of self and our darkness in that way. But that's it. That's all I've got for you today, my loves. So if you're needing support in building the habits and building resilience and learning how to start the journey of facing yourself, come to my virtual donation-based somatic activated healing classes. They happen weekly, once a week. You'll get a replay link that lasts only 48 hours. So you need to be doing the class within 2 to 3 days or it'll be gone. But then you obviously have the opportunity to come back again the next week. And then after class, I open it up for discussion, and we can hold each other and witnessing, integration, chit-chatting, community support, all that loveliness. I'll list the link below in the show notes so you can sign up. All you have to do is be on my email list. That is it. And if you're not as new to this lovely healing journey and you're listening to this episode and you're like, oh yeah, fucking been there, but you're wanting to learn how to go even deeper, enter my 8-month healing container that is starting in 7 weeks, which is fucking wild to be at this point. Like, it's so cool to have created this thing, and it's here and it's starting. Like, this is my life's work, is this 8-month healing container. The sales page for it will be dropping soon, of having like way more details, because I know I've been talking about it, but you may be like, what is it exactly? I will be speaking on this more, but also the sales page breaks it down. But if you are curious, feeling called, wanting to work with me more intimately, it'll be a small group of people and we're going there. It's a journey of the soul, and it's just so fucking cool. But after you get on the wait list, you can also, if you want to set up a discovery call, I'm available for that. And you can slide into my DMs on Instagram and letting me know that you're curious about a discovery call because you're wanting to enter the 8-month healing container. So we can set that up for free. But thank you for listening. And remember, when we see the light in ourselves, we create light in others.